Okay, so today we start with our next topic, which is actually about aggregate functions in MySQL. This is a very, very interesting, easy, and useful thing. Okay, now to move on to this particular thing, let's first understand the meaning of functions, because that's a common term being used across languages. And we must know that what does a function actually do. Now, anybody remembers any function that they have used in Python? Any function that they have used in Python? Anyone? Input function, we say, int function, eval function, float function. Remember type function. We've used them. What's the purpose? Any function is meant to do one activity, one work. Like what's the purpose of float function? Converts the data to float value. Right? Int function we use with input also. It converts the data into integer format. Right? So functions are basically small codes, small pieces of code given to you by the language, and they are meant to do a particular job. Very small particular job. We generally don't combine jobs together and create one big function. We generally don't do it because we want that the function should be reused multiple number of times as per the need, as per the requirement. So they are like small work given to you, provided to you. Okay, I mean doing what do you say? A gadget which will do some work for you, something simple and easy. Right? So these are the inbuilt codes. We are writing programs, but we are using these functions in our programs, in our codes to make our life simpler. Right? That way. So inbuilt by the language and given to you, handed over to you. Okay, use this package of inbuilt functions, ready-made codes. Okay. Now, similarly, the way you have seen it in Python, that there are some functions we have done, and then many more which we can explore. There are many functions which we can use in SQL also. Okay. Now, functions in detail is in class 12th, but there are few functions which we use and learn in class 11th also, and they are called as the aggregate functions. Okay. I'm not going into the second category of the functions in this case. They are basically called as single row functions. But because I'm not going into those details, I'm just concentrating on the aggregate functions only. Okay. Now, aggregate functions are actually those functions which give you one output corresponding to multiple records. Now, for example, this is my data, as you can see, and we've been following this data in all our past classes. I want the count of all my records. How many records are there in the table? I don't remember. And like when I do select star, it kind of scrolls and I can't make out how many records are there. Right? So I want to know the count of total records. Okay. Now this is what I'm going to get one output corresponding to that command, and it's going to refer to the entire set of data. Isn't it? So this kind of a thing, when you're getting one output corresponding to multiple rows, if I'm saying, okay, give me the total cost of all the items, there's this function called a sum, which will add up, and it's very similar. If it would have been you doing it manually also, you would have used something like adding up all the values of cost, right? So that is how the name they have given is sum, because that's what we intend to do, sum up all the values. So we sum up all the values of cost and give you one output, because you're talking about total cost, right? So multiple record values, we say the input is taken and output is one, right? The other set of functions which we study in class 12, which are called as single row functions, we get one output corresponding to every record. I'll just give one example so that you can correlate that basically. Suppose I'm saying select. There's this function called as upper function. It converts the data to uppercase. Okay. I'm saying please convert my I names into uppercase, right? From the table item. Now here I'm saying please convert the data I name, contents of the field I name into uppercase. So it will do for all the data. Every value of the item name field will be converted to uppercase and shown to you as the output, right? So one output corresponding to every row, right? But when I use the function sum to give me the summation of all the values from the quantity field, see, the way of writing is absolutely same. You write the function followed by a bracket of its own, and within that this function is supposed to use what field, like upper is supposed to use I name, sum is supposed to use quantity. But is he going to give me different outputs corresponding to different rows? Sum function? No. Sum function will give me one output corresponding to this entire set of records, and that you can verify too. Okay, because it is giving me one output corresponding to multiple records, I call it a aggregate function, multiple row function also, because multiple rows result into one output. And the other set of functions which we have, I'm again repeating, we don't do this year, we do it next year. Those are called as single row functions, because for every single row you are getting an output. Okay, am I clear with the basic understanding of the term aggregate? Why am I calling it aggregate? Aggregation, we use the term in English also, no? Aggregation, combined, putting the things together. So aggregate functions basically give you one output corresponding to multiple records of the table. Hence, they are also called as group functions, multiple row functions, or aggregate functions, as we have known it till now. Okay, please keep in mind this term multiple row functions, then you can correlate to the definition also, right? And of course, if the exam paper talks about any of these terms, you should be able to correlate that it is same as that what we talk about as aggregate function. Okay, there are very few of them, just 5: average, count, max, min, sum. The names itself tell you sum will do the summation, min will find the minimum, max will find the maximum, count will count, average will find the average. So it's that straight and simple. Okay, we say that it is used to summarize the data. We say that it is going to give, perform calculations on multiple rows and give you one output. I hope nothing can be more simpler than that, isn't it? Right? You have to remember all the 5 names, of course: average, count, max, min, sum. Average, count, max, min, sum. Right? Now, in certain terms, by the name itself, we can make out that this will be majorly used for numerical fields only. Average, you will not take out of names, right? Max, min, you will not take out for names, any kind of name for that matter, whether it's item name or some bill number, or you can say address, right? So obviously these are majorly applicable for the numeric values itself, numeric data itself. But max and min is also applicable for dates. I can find the earliest date out of a set of dates and recent most date out of a set of dates. Now, earliest will be given to me by my max, or recent most date will be given to me by my max or min. That we have to remember, and that we have to practice, and that we have to keep a note of, because it is very, very much used in the exams, board exams, and hence I'll be using it in the 11th class exam paper also. Right? Now let's see the variations, or what all things we can do with it. Right? Now count, as the name suggests, will definitely be counting records. Okay, counting values, you can say. if not records. Okay, why should I say records? Counting values. Now, what all I can do with my count? Number one, I can get one straight cut application of count. That is, if I want to see the number of records in one go. And that I get by writing count, and within its brackets, function will have its own brackets. Keywords don't have that. So between doesn't have a bracket. That's why. Okay. I said it's only between first value A and D and second value. Between is a keyword. Like is a keyword. Okay. Though in is a keyword, but yes, it has its bracket, right? To specify a list of values. Hence, but in is never called a function. Okay. So in, between, distinct, then like, all these are keywords, right? These are functions. Functions will always have its own brackets. Functions can take input. Function brackets can be blank. If I'm giving any input to the function in the bracket, that's an input. That with what will this function work? That's how we call it an input. Okay. Now, certain cases you will find where the function brackets are blank. So I'm not giving any input to it. Depends upon how am I using it. And certain cases we are giving one input, certain cases we are giving multiple inputs also. It all depends upon what function you are using, which way. Okay. Now here I'm talking about the simplest use of count function, that is with the help of the star. Now star till now we have understood to refer to all the column names used in the select command directly when I'm using it. Okay. Here star is understood in a little different manner, and that is basically referring to entire data. Okay, entire data, not all the column names, right? From name of the table. Select count star from name of the table. That star is important. If you don't use it, it will not work. Okay, count brackets star, right? This will simply count the total number of records and give you. That's it. Okay, 11 records. Now here, because my SC is actually 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So I can easily make out from here too that there are 11 records and they are in sequence too. But as such, even if that material is not there in your table, he will count the records himself and tell it to you the total number of records are how many. Okay. Now I can also apply this command with a where clause, that count me records where the quantity is 20. Count me records where cost is more than something. Count me records where warning is null. Count me records where date of purchase is more than something. Just the way you've used the where condition in select command, I can use those kind of conditions using between, using in, using like, using normal and or conditions, everything. But what am I doing here is I'm trying to count the records where that condition is applicable. Okay, so there can be any variation which you have learned in the where clause of select command, but blank is not applicable. So I will just kind of show that to you explicitly, that count without any input is not acceptable. Okay, so it has to be count star from table name where any condition you want to give. Suppose I'm saying where cost is greater than 10,000. Okay, and something in something, whatever you've learned. There's only one record, this one, hence count is 1. Okay, so one is that you display the records as per the condition, which we have done using select, and here we are using the select command with the function count to count the entries and display, count the records and display. I don't want the whole record. I don't want to see the item name where the cost is more than 10,000, or I don't want to see the date of purchase where the cost is more than 10,000. I don't want to see any value from the table. I just want to see the total count of records applicable. Okay. Now there is one hitch in this. Suppose I'm saying select count WARL from tabling. Okay. Now here, that means I can use count with a star symbol in its brackets, and I can use count with a field name in its bracket. When I use a field name in its bracket, it's going to count the number of non-null entries in that column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 non-null entries in that column. When I said count star, it did not matter where there is null in the table anywhere or not, because it was just counting the entries. Even if there's one record where everything is null, that is a record for the system. Okay, that also will be counted. But when you are applying a count function to a field, specific field, it is going to count the number of non-null entries in the corresponding field given. Okay, this is a very, very significant thing to be kept in mind. Why 9? Because total are 11 entries, 11 records, so 11 entries, but 2 are null. One this one and one this one, hence 9. Okay, there was this question asked in CBSE once, that some Anil is doing some work in his SQL thing, and when he is applying count star, he's getting 30, and when he's getting count, when he's putting count cost, he's getting 27. Is this possible? If yes, then how? Okay, so you had to simply say that the cost field must be having 3 null values, hence count of cost is coming as 27 and count star is coming as 30, because count star doesn't take into consideration the null values. It just counts the records. Am I clear? Show me a thumbs up. Am I clear? Very significant thing. Everybody, come on. Why only the ones whom I know will be listening? I want it from everyone. Come on. Manan, Parth, why can't I see your thumbs up? Yeah. Okay. Right. So that is how this thing works. The count function. Count star and count in a particular field. I've shown that with example also. Now there's one more very, very favorite question of CBSE. That is this story. Count of distinct something. So applying the count with the distinct clause combination. One is a function, one is a keyword. Now I'm saying select distinct, and believe me, this is something which in the board exams also people do it wrong. Believe me that. Distinct quantity from item. So distinct is one entry once from that field. Okay. Now, if I don't want to see all the distinct entries, I just want a count of that. Then count function gets this kind of an input. Find out the distinct quantity and then apply that to count. Give it to count. So count will simply take this and count it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Will it be 5 or will it be 4? Will it count null or it will not count null? It will not count null. Okay, so it's only count star, which is like counting all the records. It's not bothering about wherever there is null. Otherwise, whether it's count distinct quantity, I mean distinct anything, or count a particular set of particular field name when you give him as an input, then in that case, null is not counted. Okay, so that's why 1, 2, 3, and 4, not 5. Okay, so that is what I have explained here with the same table, so you can easily correlate. These kind of questions do come in output questions also. Table given to you, the query given to you, and output is asked. Okay, so we have to really work out on that part. Next one is sum. Sum is direct. If you apply the sum function to a particular field, the things are told up and shown to you. If you give a where condition along with that, then based on the where condition, whichever record is applicable, those records cost is summed up, right? So if I'm saying that you please do the summation of the cost, so I'm saying select sum of cost from the table name where SC is, that is, I'm just taking the SC into consideration, or you can say where I name starts with C. So I name like, okay, I name like starts with C means C and percentage symbol. C के बाद कुछ भी हो सकता है, ठीक है? So wherever this condition is applicable, C and percentage symbol. So this one is applicable. Starting with C, starting with C, starting with C. So for these records, the cost is added up 4,000 plus 2,400, that is 6,400 plus 300, 6,700. Okay. So that way, whatever conditions you have learned with your select command, all those variations can be applicable with this because you're actually using the select command only. Okay. Instead of fetching the field names directly, we are applying functions on that. Okay. We are doing select command only. We are going to use these functions with select itself. You cannot use it independently without the select. Right? So that's about sum. Coming down to average. Obviously, it will calculate average of any field you give him. But definitely, you'll want to get the average of any numeric field, not even applicable for dates. Similarly, sum is also applicable only for numbers, not for any other thing. But here, there is one hitch which we again have to keep in mind. If I'm talking about a field which has got any null value, for example, this warning. Okay. Now, statistically, what is the formula for average? Sum of values divided by number of entries. Correct? Isn't it? That's how we calculate average. Now, in this case, when I'm calculating, I'm adding 3 plus 4, 7 plus 4, 11 plus 3, 14 plus 4, 18 plus 2, 20 plus 3, 23 plus 2, 25. Okay? How many entries did I add up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It will not be taking into consideration the null values. Because actually you've not added anything out of null. Okay? That you have to keep track of because many a times we have seen when we give an output question like this, so they will just add up all the values and divide by the number of records. Okay? It doesn't work like that. It is going to be the number of non-null entries again, not total number of values, including that. Okay, so that's what I've given as example here. Select average warning from item. Average warning will be this because it is 25 divided by 8 and not 25 divided by 10. Okay. Again, when you're using average also, you can go for the where condition. No problem in that. So wherever the condition is more than 10,000, suppose it's only actually one in that case, this one only more than 10,000. Otherwise, so it will be 2 by 1, 2 only average. Okay? But otherwise, whatever condition you give, based on that, the records will be selected. On those records, the average will be calculated. That is, from the quantity, all the values will be added up and divided by those number of entries from the record set, not all of them. That's how average also works. Next, we move on to the next command, which is max and min. Okay. Again, when you apply max and min to regular values, then it is as simple as that. Everybody can do that. Suppose I'm saying select max of cost. Yeah. When I don't give any condition, then this will be applicable to my whole table, and max of cost will be, what will it be? 25,250. Okay. When I am trying to say that please find out the max of cost, but I give him some condition which could be like where warning is 3. It's not warning, sorry, it's warranty. Where the warranty value is 3. So warn is equal to 3. Single value only I'm giving. So warranty 3 means which all records? This one, this one, this one. Okay. So from these 3, find the max. So these 3 are the records which are applicable. This one, sorry, this one, 4,000. Then comes 2,500. And then comes 7,848. Okay, so from here, find the maximum. So if you're giving a condition, obviously, first you have to check out the records applicable as per the condition, then apply the function. Okay, that is very important. So here it should be 7,848 as per the condition. What mistake have I done? Oh, I've written where twice. Sorry. Okay, so that is how you can have your max also, you can have your min also, you can have your average also. Obviously, everywhere that will be done. But when I talk about max and min applied to my date field, इसमें बस वही याद रखने वाला है, बाकी तो is very you can say logical. What happens when I say I want max out of my date of purchase? DOPUR. What do you think it should be? Just give a wild guess. Should it be the latest date or should it be the earliest date?
The earliest date.
Okay. Earliest date. So it should be out here. Tell me what's the earliest date here? If I say latest, then it is 2003. If I say earliest, then it is 1991. Right? Now max, let us see, gives me what? Earliest or latest? It gives me the latest date. Okay. So as nearest to the current date, that will be the output of max applied to a date. Okay. When I change it to min, it goes piche. Minimalistic date, which is your earliest date applicable from this particular set. Okay. So max means to us at times, yes, the earliest date, but technically system takes up max means as nearest to the current date. Okay, this has to be kept in mind, very significant. Count star and count field name, one difference that. Second, when I'm doing average, then I'm not taking into consideration the null records. Hence, when I'm dividing by the number of entries, it is not going to consider the null entries. Okay, second point. And third, when I'm applying max and min to my dates. These are the 3 significant things you have to keep in mind. Rest, by the sentence also you can make out कि क्या करना है. There's nothing technical about it. हाँ, इसमें ये जरूर है, max applied to a date has to be kept in mind that it is the earliest date. अब इसको कैसे याद रखोगे? That's your. If somebody can find out some kind of a similar word or something, some catchy thing, then do share with me too. Right? So max is earliest and min is, sorry, max is latest and min is earliest. Okay? This has to be definitely kept in mind. So when applied to date field, max returns the latest date, and when applied to min field, max returns the earliest date. Okay? Am I clear with this? I hope this is easy, applicable, simple. Anybody having any question in this? I'll send a small worksheet, just practice. I hope you are practicing. The moment I finish with this, be ready for your orals and tests and vivas. Okay? Then missing out doesn't help. Right?